And it's interesting. I'm looking right now, right above you on the Zoom chat. There's Jeff Panall, who played drums on that record, on the Magnolia Electric Company record. The last song's Ohio, first Magnolia, depending on how you parse it. Jeff, hi. How's it going, man?
So good to see you.
Yeah, good to
All
see
you
you.
guys, man.
Yeah. So yeah, you played on that record. Will talked a little bit about how he was expecting sort of more of the same or something spare and more stripped down. You've written a little bit about your experience and talked about your experience recording that record and the incredible experience that it so clearly was. What we hear on the record is what you lived through. And as always with a Steve Albini recording, there are no lies. There's an honesty to what you hear. And you came in with some really interesting ideas about how you wanted to approach the drums. And how much of that was based on what you had heard from demos or what you were anticipating based on what Jason had prepared you for, or how much of it was just pure intuition?
Well, so I really benefited from all you guys because I got to watch you guys play with Jason for many years. I watched couple different drummers play with him over the years. And I definitely picked up some tricks from watching all those guys. I think Todd is on this call, and I
Yeah.
definitely stole one of his drum beats for
Yeah.
Farewell Transmission. That's like a total kind of cop of his thing that he plays on Cabway Lingo. Um,
Yeah.
but so, I got to watch Jason play for many years. So, at Oberlin, I saw him play on those tours that you guys did in like 98. And then when he moved to Chicago and then he was looking for a drummer, I was super psyched to play with him. So I
Yeah.
was like, hey man, I really want to play with you. And I was kind of learning how to play the drums at that time period, really, really trying harder. Like I played a little bit, but not too seriously. He was impressed that I knew the songs so well, but I was like, dude, I've been watching you for years here. But I tried to play with brushes, just like
Yeah.
Jeff
Yeah.
had been playing Jeff Cummings. And man, I was just not very good at it. And I tried it for a couple of shows. And so then when we went on this 6-week tour, like Jason upgraded from 4 strings to 5 on his
Yeah.
guitar. And I was like, well, I'm going to go from these brushes to real sticks. And then we were just stuck on this tour, for like 6 weeks. So we were able to develop the style together. So that was Dan McAdam on bass and Dan Sullivan on guitar. It was the 4 of us. And it's the same band that was on the Live Vanquishers and that came out on Secretly Canadian recently. And then the Italian live one that I can't pronounce. We kind of came up with a style that was way more like loud and jamming and drawn out. And I think I felt very lucky because Jason let us do that, because a lot of the people who saw us play at that time were like, hey, we saw this band last year and you guys were much quieter and I liked the old band better.
Yeah.
And but like you said, he kind of let people bring ideas to the band, and he invited you to the band because he trusted you. And you got to play in the band, until I guess maybe something you did he didn't like. But anyway, so when we got to do the Magnolia record, he kind of wanted to change the sound again and rein it in, and he wanted it to be more country. So at that time I was listening a lot to Neil Young, and I listened to Harvest like every morning. I'd be like smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee. I'd listen to that record, and it's very spare and minimal, the drumming. And so I tried to really pull back my drumming and make it very spare. That's what we did. And it worked out great. Like a lot of the people who played on that record had known Jason from Oberlin.
Yeah.
We most of us had been seeing him play for a long time, so we were very familiar with him and his approach.
Yeah. And it was a really beautiful choice, I think. Those warm drums and the kind of just like fat pocket that you
Cheers.
gave.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it was beautiful. And it was so different than your live show up to that. Because it was, you guys were getting really loud. It was big, massive.
It was rowdy.
Yeah. And great. I mean, beautiful in its own right. I mean, I'm so glad that those live records got recorded well.
I know we were
Both the
real
ones you
lucky.
noted. Because those are really special. That's a really interesting point, like where a lot of different periods of Jason were kind of coming together and coalescing into like a really, sort of consistent approach. But just the fact that you just took another turn right there was exactly the kind of thing that Jason always wanted, in his collaborators. Not only ideas of their own, but an ability to kind of like just turn on a dime, because you don't get many second takes or rehearsals with Jason.
Hey, Max, can I ask Jeff a question?
Yeah, please do.
Hey, Jeff, so quick question. In those 6 weeks leading up to recording the album, when y'all were touring out there and playing, was Jason as reticent about playing a song the same way twice as he was after the album came out? Because I remember going to see him multiple times after an album came out. And of course, he never played the song like he did on the album. So when you were touring with him leading up to the album, were you guys actually doing the songs the same way each time? Or was it that same vibe of just winging it and see what happens?
So we were playing that. So this tour they did, it was 6 weeks in Europe, and we were playing the songs from The Lioness. So The Lioness had recently come out. And so we were playing mostly those songs and just a couple others. And we played the same kind of set list the whole time. We would vary the order of songs. Like he would always start the song just by playing. And so we would know what song that he was about to play because he'd play like, the 4 bars at the intro and then we'd come in. But we played the same stuff and we didn't play anything from that Magnolia record. I mean, that Magnolia record came along later. So when I was playing with him, touring a lot, he was also going off and recording other records. Like he did that solo one, the Ghost Tropic, without us. And then he did Didn't It Rain with Jim and Jenny without us. So we were all just like, dude, man, we'd love to play on one of your records. Like, but it wasn't until we did the Magnolia. And then we just had like a short period of time where he gave us demos and he was like, I want to change the sound of the band. And then we had a tough time kind of understanding what he wanted to do. And then we went in. So we played those songs once live at the Hideout. And that was it. And man, I wish we had a recording of that. But the songs weren't like, they were a little bit rough because we were just still trying to figure out the new sound that he was going for.
Thanks, Jeff. And thanks, Will, for that really good question. We also have with us Sam Marandola of Oldest Sea, whose music you hear in the trailer.